Hi, I wanted to make a quick video on how, for me at least, my initial 75-pound weight loss and achieving something that large and that impossible really inspired me to be able to do anything and to remember that about myself, that I can achieve anything that I want to. And there's two major things that I want to talk about in this video that I really don't think I ever would have done, and it turns out that they're huge passions of mine had I not been a success at losing 75 pounds. The first one is running. I had never run a step in my life, was convinced that I couldn't, and it was through the Weight Watchers online boards that I started to see people talking about the Couch to 5K program and telling the same story about how they had never run a step in their life, how they thought it was impossible, how they were 100 pounds overweight and they were now a runner, how they went in a few months from having never run a step to running races. So after my 50 pounds of my 75-pound weight loss, I decided to try it, to try the Couch to 5K program. And it worked. Ironically, it turns out I really love running, even though I'd put it off for 30 years. I could have been running my entire high school in my 20s and my 30s, but I had convinced myself that it was impossible for me. But seeing that I could lose at the point I started 50 pounds taught me that I could probably become a runner too. So I did. It's a 9-week program. It takes you from walking to running in graduated steps. I remember, like many Couch to 5K graduates, the moment in week 5 where you're supposed to run 20 minutes, and I thought, these people are nuts. There is no way I can run 20 minutes. But I did. And I ran my first 5K, so that's a 3-mile race in October of 2008. And then I increased my running because it turns out that I got the running bug. And was running 6 miles a day, 5 days a week, so about an hour every day. And then I decided to do what to me a year before would have been unthinkable, which is train for my first half marathon. In March of 2009, I ran the Atlanta marathon. I ran the half marathon version of it, 13.1 miles. Then I went on to run a marathon in Frederick, Maryland, and a half marathon in Lakewood, Ohio, or in Cleveland, Ohio, where I grew up. And then I got hurt and I had to scale back on my running. And I still consider myself a runner, but I am in the process of kind of bringing my running back up to where it once was and hopefully train for a half marathon in 2013. But I definitely never would have done that had I not lost 75 pounds, because it really taught me that if I could do that, I could become a runner. The second thing is that since I was a kid, really a teenager, I wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle. I know for some people that sounds crazy, but in my late 30s, with kind of no one around me to help me, I decided, after I had maintained my weight loss for about a year and a half, that I was going to go buy myself a motorcycle. And I went to a Harley Davidson dealership and I bought myself a slightly used Harley Davidson 2008 Sportster Custom in red, which I nicknamed the Red Mistress. And then I learned how to ride a motorcycle. I took a class through Harley, and my bike was delivered like the day before Thanksgiving in 2009, so 3 years ago now. And over the course of a couple of years, I put over about 26,000 miles on my Sportster, and last year I traded my Sportster in for a 2011 Harley Deluxe in black that I've nicknamed the Vixen, and I've put about 8,000 or 9,000 miles on my Deluxe in the last year. So I've basically gone 35,000 miles on a motorcycle in 3 years, and there is no way that I would have had the confidence to do that had I not embarked on my original 75-pound weight loss. Part of the reason I'm telling these two stories is, one, to remind myself of this, that I really can do anything, and then two, as I'm embarking on trying to lose the 37 pounds that I've regained out of the initial 75-pound weight loss, it's really helpful for me to remember how much that allowed me to change in the rest of my life and the level of confidence it gave me to do things that would have been unthinkable to me just a few years before that. So hopefully, as you're embarking on your journey, for those of you who are going through a similar journey, you can really have these moments where you realize, if I can achieve that, I can change anything else that's not working in my life, or really add things that I've always wanted to add and try things that I never thought I was capable of doing. So I hope this little story helps. It's helping me to tell it, to remind myself that, like, my two kind of hobby passions in life, I probably would not have created if it weren't for the confidence that my initial weight loss gave me. And that those are still the things that when I look at, like, beyond my family and my friends and my work, like, what really inspires me. And what do I like doing? Well, I like to run and I like to ride my motorcycle when I can, and I wouldn't have those things if I hadn't embarked in November of 2007 on the journey and the hard work to lose 75 pounds. And now I'm embarking on the journey and the hard work to get back to goal.